What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the last regular season Sunday Night Showdown here, week 17. We have the Washington football team and the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, just wanted to say greatly appreciate all the support this season and be on the lookout. I will have one of these breakdowns for every single showdown slate for the playoffs starting next weekend. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel, hit that like button, and show as much support as possible. So tonight, we have a game where one team has something to play for and the other doesn't. I think we can figure that into our um, builds a little bit, but I do still think there's value on the Eagles side. So let's get into the slate. The Washington football team with a hobbling Alex Smith and a released Dwayne Haskins will be the favor here, and they're almost favored by a touchdown. The Eagles have come out and basically said they're going to let Peterson come back next year. I think that was, a lot to do with just him actually making the switch from Wentz to Hurts and it, being successful in a small sample size, and Wentz wants out. So I don't know. I think the Eagles are still wanting to play for that purpose. Like they just want to finish out the season really well. But Washington needs to win because the Giants are up, I think, 14 right now on Dallas. So if they win, basically it's going to be the Giants or the Washington football team that will get in. So, and we see here pretty low total, 43. So let's get into the slate. We'll start on the favorite side as always. Scary Terry is 10,000. He sounds like he is good to go. I think if this game wasn't as important, like if they're already eliminated, I don't know if he would play. Even down here it says like if he's active, he could be limited. But I think in this situation, with the game environment and what's on the line, I think you'll see him play, and I think you'll see him still perform decently well. Is he a lock? No, I won't say he's a lock right now, but I definitely think he's somebody to consider. Alex Smith is likely going to be in. Again, it sounds like he'll likely be playing through some pain in his calf. Um, I don't know. It's tough. I think he's okay, but I don't love him. And I think there's other, but the flip side of that is I like some of the pass receiving options for Washington. But I think that's just because his target share is going to like three guys and three guys only right now. And it's McLaren, McKissick, and Logan Thomas. So I think the volume is condensed enough, and he likes to throw short passes that you can attack the pass catching side without committing to Alex Smith. So, but then we have Gibson here, who's obviously questionable, but likely to go at 9,000, who had a phenomenal season until he got hurt. And then, came back last week and played all right. But it is super hard to ignore. And obviously this is some game scripted too. McKissick, again, they were losing the last two games. So you see the 8 catches and 9 catches game. He had the 10 catches against Pittsburgh. So they certainly are wanting to continue to get him involved. So I think, the Vegas odds would suggest that that Washington's leading a decent amount of this game and that they'd be running the ball. So then I think you can make the case for Gibson. I still think McKissick has a decent floor and upside if the game is close. Like I think that's Alex Smith likes to check down to him. So I think, and then you have Logan Thomas here at 7,800, who like after being, I think like chalk on DK, like after week 1, then was kind of not great at all, had some, good moments. And then now the last 2 games, he's combined for 28 targets. Again, games they're losing, but even the games that were close and that they were winning, were relatively, consistent. He's not needing a touchdown to get there either. So Logan Thomas definitely in play at 7,800, just based on, again, like that condensed volume I talked about. Cam Sims at 4,800, again, saw some decent target share. But I prefer the other pass catchers over him in a game that is not as likely to be scripted like that. Hopkins is probably one of the better values for them at 3,600. They will kick the ball. They're not super aggressive going for it. Washington football team defense, I'm not going to be really considering. Steven Sims Jr., 6 targets last game. I thought that was pretty impressive. And I think if you see, McLaren miss, then I think I would like him quite a bit. Yeah, that's kind of it. Peyton Barber was a spell. He didn't really play at all last week. He played more when if Gibson were for some reason be out, which I don't think he will be. So let's turn it to the Philly side, where I think there's a couple locks. I know Jalen Hurts is going to be a lock, probably be the most popular player on the slate, kind of turning into a Lamar Jackson in terms of being able to run the ball while also throwing the ball, just having that upside, which we've seen a lot with quarterbacks this season. After that, though, I think my favorite play for them is Zach Ertz at 4,600. With Goddard out, I think 4,600 is way too cheap for a guy that we know has the capabilities of performing at like a 7 to 8K price tag on a showdown. And I think that's definitely in play here. Now, there's definitely builds that you don't even need him, because Boston Scott's going to start at running back, and Boston Scott's going to be chalky, popular, and I'm going to play him. I think some people will even use him in the captain spot, and then basically just click every single stud at the top of the page. So, and I'm not saying that's bad, because so people ask, like, when is it a good time to punt at captain? I think if it is a clear misprice, where if we knew Boston Scott was starting here, he'd be priced like 7,000-8,000. So it's a massive discount, right? It's not a good matchup for him running the ball. He will catch balls out of the backfield. If Boston Scott gets 10 DK, and then that allowed you to play Jalen Hurts, McLaren, if you want Alex Smith, McKissick, Gibson, you can play them all basically. Where is the difference if you go Hurts captain and he scores 20? Okay, so now that the difference, you're still playing Scott. So really, that's only a 5-point difference. I think these players up here at the top would make up that 5-point difference on somebody like a kicker, or you would have to be maybe like Zach Ertz. So again, it's like those things that you got to think about when you decide punting captain. Here, I think is definitely more of a viable time to punt at captain, just because of how cheap he is. Alshon Jeffrey is GPP only for me. Deshaun Jackson is out, so I think that increases, and Goddard, so it increases like your Greg Ward here, who's had flashes. Your Fulgham, who kind of flew off the page and then was horrible. So here's another. Quez Watkins is just a dart punt, has a couple long balls that he's caught. So I think he's viable at 1,600, but give me $200 less for the starting running back in this game. Richard Rodgers is also out. So again, like Zach Ertz is in a phenomenal spot if you're not using Boston Scott at captain. So my 3 favorite cash plays are Jalen Hurts, McLaren if he's in, and then Boston Scott. Boston Scott's just like a pure optimal cash and value play. Other values I like are Hopkins. I think Ertz is a value because he's underpriced. And then Sims Jr. if McLaren is out, or Watkins if you want a GPP dart throw for a couple, like one long catch and he's already hit value. So, and I think especially with the injuries, with Goddard, with Deshaun Jackson out, with Rodgers out, you likely see some decent snap counts for somebody like Watkins. So thanks again for listening, and hopefully you cash tonight in the last Sunday Night Showdown. See ya.